The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
My wife and I struggled. This was about 10 years into our marriage, and we decided we didn't want any children. And the struggle was, when were we going to tell the kids, you know? Good to have you with me. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. The program, The Doctor Is In. Before I give any other information, I want to give a bunch of thanks to all the folks in the whole Alberta province of Canada. My gosh, that place is beautiful. And talk about massive farms. And God, it's as though God said, okay, look what I can do. So, they're in Edmonton with the Catholic Family Conference. I never seen that many kids. They were everywhere. It's like somebody fed them after midnight. You can't remember that old movie, but it was, I forget the name of the movie, but you're not supposed to feed them after midnight. What was it? Gremlins, that's it. See, I'm so old it was a car. It was a Nash Rambler car type thing. Gremlins, don't feed them after midnight, they multiply. Well, somebody must have fed these kids after midnight, because there were thousands of them just everywhere, all over the place. And I didn't get any ice cream at all. Felt bad pushing my way in front of all these kids. But I want to say thank you. Thank you very much to Morris Beyer and his lovely wife, Vicky, and all of you who put that on. I was up there for 4 days. Wonderful, wonderful time. Okay, now, the program and you. The number. Notice how I'm really using less verbs these days. Verbs take energy. I just want to speak in adjectives and nouns. The number. Rather than the number is. Or to call, please. No, just the number. 877-573-7825. 877-57 equal. Why? Notice I didn't say, well, why would you want to call? Again, more verbs. Just why? Lots of reasons. Most people, I'd say 50+% of calls, situation, circumstances, people, problem, struggle, something going on in someone's life that they just want to get another voice. They're not getting therapy here. But they might say, yeah, you know, Dr. Ray, you might come up with something I hadn't thought of. That's true. That's how I could hopefully help you out. And sometimes what we think of is minor, but it has major ramifications. 877-57 equal. So number one reason to call is personal situation. If you want to stay anonymous, that's cool. Stay anonymous. A lot of people call with saying, I don't want to say where I'm from. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's cool. I don't want to say where I'm from. You know, how come I never get to be anonymous? Also, sometimes people will say, I have a generic question. There's something I don't understand about development. Something I don't understand about encopresis, huh? You've probably wrestled with that a lot. You don't know really what encopresis is, huh? Or pseudocyesis, or a catatonic, right? You might not know about that. Or something like parasomnias. See, those are all things that people just wrestle with. I'm just throwing that out to sound smart. I hate when I do that, you know. Sometimes I do use big words just to sound really smart, so people think I'm photosynthesis. And then sometimes folks will call in with a general help. We had this happen last week. We were talking about particular opening monologue where you have to walk in somebody's shoes, according to a cliche, to be able to give them any kind of helpful advice. or to give them the best advice. And we had a lot of calls commenting on that. So people will call in and comment on previous calls or previous monologues. And then every so often, somebody disagrees with me. And you hop the turnstile and you get put to the front. If you compliment me, I put you straight to the front. But we get a lot less of those than we do disagreements. So we'll try to get a couple. Sometimes I've had to call out for compliments. Tell Eric Dumont, who's not only manning the boards today, but to call screaming. Call somebody, see if I can get a compliment. And don't try my family members. That doesn't work. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the number. All right, one more announcement. Enough of this badinage. August. Why am I doing this? Keep forgetting it's the 19th or the 20th or the 18th or the 19th. Get it right, Raymond. 19th and 20th. August 19 and 20. Heading back to Buffalo, New York after a several-year absence. Last time we were there, we taped 4 TV shows. Living Right with Dr. Ray, the TV show that airs on EWTN 2 or 3 times during the week. We're going back August 19th and 20th. Last time we were there, we had massive audiences, huge audiences for the TV show. So if you go to thestationofthecross.com, right on their homepage, there'll be all the information you need on how to sign up to be in the audience. You can come for 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the shows. In the evening, I think shows are at, I forget the exact times, I think 5:15 and 7 or something like that. They'll have it on the homepage. And as a special treat, Father Larry Richards, who pastors out of Erie, PA, which is a couple hours from Buffalo, something like that, hour and a half. He'll be there the whole night on August 19th. Normally he does little segments on the TV show. We have a 6-minute segment called Living the Faith. Father Larry and I go back and forth. Well, he's going to be there in person. So if you love Father Larry, I know a lot of you do, sign up. And we feed you in between. So if you bring the kids, and you can bring the kids, we welcome the kids. So bring the kids. We have a psychologist on staff right there for emergency fits that would happen. All righty. Enough of that. I want to hear from you, please. Your calls make the program, just as your presence in the audience makes the TV show. I don't go to church. I don't go to church anymore. You know why I don't go to church? Because you forced me to go to church. You made me go to church. When I was 17 and I told you I didn't want to go to church, you made me go to church. I was old enough to decide for myself. So now that I'm out of the house, I don't go. You ever had that one thrown at you? Well, I'm here to tell you that flat out, that's a lie. That is a lie. It's not even in the top 10 reasons why kids don't go to church as adults. There are many, many other factors, not the least of which is the culture shaped them or they don't like the church's morals. Parents feel nervous about that as the kids get older, 15, 16, 17, and they start dragging their feet about church or even putting up some hostile resistance. And you're thinking, oh boy, what good is this doing me? I've got some kid at church who doesn't want to be there. What now? Well, I'll draw a parallel. If the child really doesn't want to come in on your midnight curfew and they're going to get upset, you have them have a midnight curfew, then don't really make them have a midnight curfew, right? You're forcing them, aren't you? If the child doesn't want to apologize to his sister after he mistreated her, don't make him apologize to his sister. You're forcing him. Come on, you're going to make him hate apologies. He's going to get married, and he's never going to apologize to his wife. What are you doing? Vegetables. Can't stand vegetables. You're making him eat vegetables? You realize you're going to have a donut eater by the time he's 23, and that's all he's going to eat. Parenting forces a lot of things. Why? Because kids don't generally know what's good for them. And so the parents know what's good for them, and they force things. Dr. Ray, that's different. That is forcing things that as a parent you know are good for them and are relatively limited, but something as deep and as broad as embracing the faith. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then there's a lot of deep and broad morals, too, that you don't want to force them, do you? If they don't go to church when they're 15, 16, 17, because they don't want to, or even if they're 19 and they live in your house, they'll never hear anything at Mass that could help them. They'll never be moved at all by a prayer or by the Holy Spirit. They won't. They just won't. Are you making a statement in your home that if you live here, we go to church as a family, and if you don't, then I can't stop you? But there comes an age where your resistance is enough, in my opinion, that you don't have to. You can do that. Nobody's telling you can't. I just don't think it's very wise. And if a kid tells you, you forced me to go to church and that's why I don't go. You forced me to go to church. You made me learn about religion. I didn't want to. Church was boring, and you made me. And that's why I don't step foot inside a church today. I think a lot of that is not only a justification for the way they want to live now, but it's also an attempt to make you feel guilty and deficient and a failure as a parent. So, given that, one, do you force them to church against their will? You live here. It's kind of the way we do this. We do a lot of things that you don't like and are against your will. And two, if you don't do it, then you can be certain of one thing. Absolutely certain. They will never be exposed while they're living in your home to whatever could move them at Mass. Parenting is a lot of force. And by that I mean going against a child's will. Twinkies or green beans? Their choice, right? Hug his sister or punch her? His choice. Homework or blow it off? His choice. No, you make a lot of things happen as a parent. So why, when it comes to the most important thing, do we get squeamish? The shrinks make you think you're going to mess them up. Alrighty, 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL. I would be delighted to talk to you.
Hi, I'm Ed Bahura. Are you kids struggling with school? Give them the boost they need with Sylvan Learning Centers. Our experienced tutors make learning fun and effective. And for a limited time, get the first month of tuition at 50% off. Call us now at 1-800-EDUCATE. Don't let this amazing offer pass you by. That's 50% off the first month at Sylvan Learning Centers, where brighter futures begin. Enroll today.
You like pizza? Me too. And for that, we can thank our friend Tom Monahan. First, he starts with $900 and opens one pizza shop. Then it's worldwide, thousands of shops. But all this was just a warm-up for his greatest achievement yet. He built a university.
God inspired Tom to build up generations of men and women who have a hunger to reach the world for Christ. This place is Ave Maria University.
Visit avemaria.edu to see what's next.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Therese of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net. Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically owned shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Doing my own stunt voices, my own discipline. No body doubles here. Nobody else pronouncing the difficult words like vicissitude, excoriate, ashtabula. It's Dr. Ray here. Let's go to Kay. This is a rather very fascinating call, Kay. I'm confused about this. Hi, Kay.
Hi.
Tell me about this first grade class.
Okay, I have a granddaughter in first grade at a small Catholic school. It's a small class. She has a transgender student in the class, born a boy but being raised as a girl, and been in the class for a couple of years, preschool through first grade already. I have two questions. First of all, is it okay, in your opinion, to allow this in a Catholic school since it goes against Catholic teaching? But more importantly, will the trans child confuse my granddaughter and other students on normal transgender development ideas?
Now, when you say transgender, are they? You obviously may not know this, but would there be hormones given, puberty blocker hormones to this little one, or no? It's just dressing as a girl.
I don't know that. Okay. It's more dressing as a girl, uses the boys' bathroom, but always, you know, wears pink and lots of jewelry and lots of girly shoes, book bags, accessories, all that kind of thing.
Does the teacher address him as a boy or girl?
I don't know. He goes by his given name, but I did look it up, and that could be a boy or a girl name.
Okay.
I don't really want to give the name.
Yeah, I understand. Well, first of all, certainly the school, if they were to act in parallel to church teachings, may be able to make a case that this isn't permitted in the school. Now, it doesn't shock me that the school is saying, well, we're going to respect what these parents want. We're going to respect what this 7-year-old wants. Doesn't shock me, even if it is going against church teaching and it is confusing. That said, will it confuse the other kids? Yep, it will. All right. So the degree that the confusion can be mitigated depends upon what the parents talk about with the other kids. It's perplexing that you got somebody that's 7 years old and is being raised opposite sex already. It is definitely perplexing. I can't comment on exactly what that school is thinking or what that teacher is thinking or being forced to think. I would have your daughters or sons, I would have your granddaughter's parents ask her what she thinks about this. Now, she's going to be confused. She's going to say, I don't understand. He's a boy. Why is he doing this? Okay? They can explain to her as best they can on her level. Well, honey, I don't really know why this is happening, but her parents, his parents, must think that he wants to be a girl and they're going to let him be a girl.
Well, I also would like to add something else. My granddaughter came home from school one day, and I'm sure this wasn't taught in the class, but she told her parents, boys can marry boys and girls can marry girls. And, of course, this alarms the parents a lot and said, no, they can't. But, you know, she came home with that notion and told, you know, that affirmation.
Well, that tells you something. I personally, if that's the kind of things that's being taught in this elementary Catholic school, I personally...
No, I'm sorry. We don't believe it was taught. We think it came from the child.
Oh, okay. Well, then there is one more component of that child confusing her. And apparently, she didn't say, that's not true. She said, oh, okay. So, yeah, there is confusion probably going on. Sure. I don't know. I mean, your son and daughter could go to the school, they could go to the principal, they could go to the priest and say, okay, what are you doing here? How are you handling this? What's your approach to this? And if they say, well, we just don't believe it's in our right to do anything like this, and then I would probably say, well, then where would you draw a limit? Where would he be allowed to come in? What if he says, I just like being naked? I want to come in naked. Would you allow that? What if he says, I want to use the girls' bathroom? Would you allow that? Well, what would you allow in the name of self-expression? I would like some answers.
Good point.
So, okay, it's just too bad that these little kids have to try to assimilate this kind of confusion.
Yeah, in my thought, it would be very confusing to that age.
Oh, of course it would.
Age level.
Very much so. I would think that the boy would probably get bullied. I would think that he'd probably get made fun of. And you say, well, those kids shouldn't do that. Well, that's irrelevant that they shouldn't do that. Of course they shouldn't, but they would because they're 7 years old and they're looking at something they just cannot digest. All right, Kay. Thank you for the call here.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I never got a call like that. I never got a client like that. Never got a situation like that. Oh, yeah, same-sex attraction, yes. And gender confusion with adults, yes. Transvestite, yes. But a first grader, openly living according to an opposite sex identity? Never have. And there are so many factors that enter into something like this. You know, what is the parent's viewpoint? How is the child at this age determined that, in fact, this is his identity? How? Is there confusion at that age? Sometimes there is, of course. And it's interesting because Sigmund Freud, known for his psychodynamic developmental stages, says there's a latency period, which is that they really have no kind of sexual identity to speak of. And it's that at that age, it's like, okay, a lot of 7-year-olds say I want to be a girl. A lot of 7-year-old girls say I want to be a boy. That's a lot. Matter of fact, there was a survey done of adolescents who said, in essence, I'm in the wrong body, and if that was dealt with time, exploration, perhaps some therapy, 97% of them go back to their original sexual identity.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Are you longing to hear God's voice? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian Prayer Series will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking, and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord, Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
The 2025 Encounter Conference, July 16th to 18th at the Glass City Center in Toledo, Ohio.
God is uniting what the devil is trying to divide. God is wanting to bring the church together in the fullness of the Holy Spirit.
Join thousands from around the world and over 18 inspiring speakers, including Father Matthias Thalen, Patrick Rice, Peter Herbeck, Jeff Cavins, Father Boniface Hicks, Dr. Mary Healy, Bishop Joseph Espaillat, and more.
The church, anointed with the Spirit that was on Jesus, is meant to surpass the works of Jesus when He was on earth. It's because we share in His anointing.
God's pouring out His anointing. They're not only to love you and encourage you, He's coming to equip you and to empower you.
What if every one of us says yes with an unqualified, absolutely total yes to the Lord? The world will have the saints it longs for.
Youth tracks are available to bring the whole family. Tickets are expected to sell out. Visit EncounterCatholic.com to register. EncounterCatholic.com.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
Why is music so cool? What is it about the way it plays our brain? Thank you so much for joining me here on The Doctor Is In, number to get onto the program as we approach the halfway mark already of the program. This program shoots by. Sorry. There's a little violent language there. Flies by. Yeah. Okay, I can say fly. Well, might not be able to say flies by because, fear of flying is a common anxiety reaction, and that's being insensitive to people who have a fear of flying. Program runs by? It's assuming everybody can run. Stumbles by. Okay, program stumbles by. Thank you, Eric. Not sure how to take that. Let's go to an anonymous female caller from Nebraska. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for the call.
Yes. My question to you is, what is the Catholic faith's view on domestic violence? And
wow, it's wrong.
Yeah. Staying, whether to stay or not in a relationship after that happens.
Okay. The church has taught, and I think this goes pretty far back, you are not obliged to put yourself in danger, yourself or your kids, and whether that's physical danger or serious other danger. For example, you have a spouse who has unrepentant adulterous relationships, or is an inveterate gambler who is basically spending all the money for the family, so you guys are living semi-destitute. No, you're not obliged to stay in a situation like that. It's called, kind of unofficially, separation of bed and board.
Okay.
Now, the hope is that through doing that, some kind of reconciliation at some point can be possible. Mm-hmm. All right. If officially you get a divorce, the church would recognize that you're still married. If you had a valid or a sacramental marriage, you're still married. Mm-hmm. You would have to look at it from the point of view of seeking what they call a declaration of nullity, but commonly known as an annulment. You'd have to look at it, and you'd have to say, okay, at the time of our marriage, was there, and I'm going to use a fancy kind of word here, was there an impediment to my freely acquiescing to this marriage? Free, faithful, fertile, full agreement. And if there wasn't, if something was missing there that would have probably very likely changed your view of being married. In other words, if you'd have known, let's say you would have known that this guy had this kind of temper and he was capable of this, would you have married him? And if you said, no, I would not have. Okay. Right. So at that point, it's very highly likely that this marriage could be declared null. It was not legit from the get-go. But you're not obliged by the Catholic Church to stay in a dangerous situation like that.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to ask the question, also, shed some light for other people that, have gone through that as well.
Sure, absolutely. If anybody thinks you have to endure no matter what, because that's what the Church teaches, that's incorrect. That's not what the Church teaches.
Okay.
All righty.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Thanks for the call, and thanks for allowing some people to hear that and realize if they were mistaken, and all they have to do is go to the Catechism, and they'll see it.
Okay.
God bless you. Good luck to you, okay?
Thank you so much.
All righty, dear.
Bye.
It's interesting. People who are heroically faithful, who are trying to stay in a situation that is just pushing them to the very limits of their emotional or even physical endurance, are most admirable. Most admirable. But at some point, you simply may have to exit the situation for your own well-being or the well-being of your children. And the Church would never expect you to say, nope, you got to endure in that marriage no matter what come may. Never on that. 877-573-7825. 877-57-ECO. We had a call earlier, not there anymore, Eric, about, he wanted to comment on the opening monologue. Do you remember what that was? That's it? Just nothing but see, you did that on purpose. He gave me a compliment on that opening monologue, and you said, okay, well, we don't need to hear it, and you let him go, didn't you? You forgot to tell me, little Freudian slip there. He didn't want to stay on. Magniloquence, very good word there. Very good word, Eric. Learn those things. 877-573-7825. That's the number to call to get onto the program. What else do I want to tell you here? If there is a divorce, let us say that you are the victim. You didn't want to get the divorce, but your spouse went ahead and got the divorce. You are assumed to be validly married, even if you're another faith tradition. Civilly, you are divorced. By the law, you are divorced. But the Church will see that you are still married until you take a look at. I had a client once who confessed same-sex attraction. And it was during the marriage. And he had that same-sex attraction on the day of his wedding, but he kept it hidden. Now, that would seem to be a pretty straightforward case of, I probably wouldn't have married you if I would have known you were struggling with same-sex attraction. Or you weren't struggling, in fact, you wished it, but you didn't tell me or you kept it hidden. That would be just one example of the very beginning of the marriage that happened under false information, false terms, false conditions, false personality issues, etc. All right, so we got about 20 seconds then. We'll get back to your calls. 877-573-7825. 877-57 equal is the number. Again, go to stationofthecross.com, and you can see on August 19th and 20th, we're bringing Living Right with Dr. Ray, the TV show, 15th season, first episodes of our 15th season, to Buffalo, New York. You can come from far away if you want, but we have 2 shows each of those nights. And the audience is an absolute integral part of the show. There's no question. They ask questions, they applaud when they're supposed to, they boo when they're supposed to, etc. Okay? Thank you. I'm Dr. Ray.
I don't think we've replaced our siding since we moved in 20 years ago. But I'm sure it's still fine, right?
We better call Mighty Dog Roofing of Ann Arbor.
Damaged siding can cause mold buildup and weaken your home structure. Protect your family by calling local Catholics Dan and Mary Flanagan at Mighty Dog Roofing for a free inspection of your siding, roof, or windows. Mighty Dog Roofing, 734-224-4916. That's 734-224-4916. We are the pro-life generation, passionate about building the culture of life in our healthcare and in our nation. But not all healthcare options are equally pro-life, and some provide morally objectionable procedures. CMF Curo is different. CMF Curo is a pro-life Catholic healthcare ministry providing a pathway for its members to build the culture of life in their healthcare choices, not destroy it. Learn more about CMF Curo at mycatholichealthcare.com. That's mycatholichealthcare.com.
Ron Finn here, inviting you to join Dave Basheris, Pat Odie-Murray, and me for Morning Offering, the Catholic way to start your day.
We welcome some very special guests each day, including Teresa Tomeo, Andrew Reinhardt, Dr. Ray Guarendi, and Matthew Archbold. Plus, my chat with Pat, talking with Catholic experts from all over.
Plus, we're having fun along the way so you can start your day with a smile. Morning Offering, weekday mornings at 8 here on the Ave Maria Radio family of stations.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Thank you for joining me, Dr. Ray Guarendi here. I wrote a book. Okay, let me take care of Molly first. Molly called, and she has a son. She is older, and her son, I assume, is probably 40, 50, somewhere in there, maybe older. And he's nasty to her. He's just very, very mean-spirited to her, mistreats her. And I forget the nature of the call when Molly called, but I suggested a book to her, the book that I had recently written called How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. Molly is asking, she's staying off the air, but she is asking, is that for her or for her son? Well, it's for her. Because she's the one who's saying, look, I can't get along with this guy because he does A, B, C, D, and E. And that's really a lot of what the book is written for. It's written for people that are, it is, I don't want to say mandatory, but it is imperative in a lot of ways that we get along with them. They're relations, they are spouses, they are close, they are co-workers, so that we have much contact with them. And the book is written to try to do our best to get along with them, or at the very least to not let them get to us so much. So yes, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. You can get that on my website. It's signed. Now, before I go to Barb, point to another book. I have a book called Family Faith Under Fire, and Barb's question that she's going to ask was dealt with directly in that book. I'm pretty sure it was, if I recall correctly. Hi, Barb.
Hi.
Thanks for the call.
So
So my question is, a little background. I've been on an antidepressant for about 20 years, since after my father passed away. And I feel pretty good when I'm on it. But I was in a really dark place before. But lately the doctor has been saying, my family doctor has been saying, you can go off that anytime you want. So I tried it, and I went off of it. But I feel like I'm going back to that same place. But I just kind of felt like maybe, my faith should fill in that area that I shouldn't need to take an antidepressant. And I'm confused about whether or not to go back, take it again. Shouldn't my faith be enough?
Well, you're asking two questions here, Barb.
I know.
All right.
I'm confused.
Well, I am too, but I'm going to do everything I can to get unconfused and take you with me.
Okay.
You were first prescribed the meds after your husband passed away.
My father.
Your father, I'm sorry. Your father.
Yes.
And that depressed you. You had what we would call an adjustment reaction with depression. That's what we would kind of technically call it. So 20 years of that, are you saying that you were still for 20 years at the same level of sadness?
No.
Okay.
No. I got over that, but I felt like, I felt like I got better and got over it because I was still on the antidepressant. That back in January, I stopped taking, with the doctor's advice, to stop taking that antidepressant, but I've no longer had those, feelings that I had when my father passed away. But
well, it could have been you were adjusting, Barb. It could have been you were adjusting. 20 years. Most people during some stretch of that time would get past their grief. So that's the first thing.
Well, I'm past the grief. It's just, I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just me. I feel like I get angry again all the time.
Well, there's possibly that the meds have a certain overall calming effect. Maybe, given that. However, the research on antidepressant medications is that they're not all that effective. They are more effective if there's a biochemical basis for the depression as opposed to a life depression or a thinking depression or an adjustment depression, which is the bulk of depressions, by the way. So that said, you've come to rely upon it. You've come to believe, and maybe there's a placebo component involved. Placebo meaning you think it works. It works because you think it works over these years. Now, you cut it out, and you said, oh, whoa, I noticed right away, quick. Oh, I'm different. Get back on it. That may have been just simply, after all those 2 decades of being on it. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm just throwing out possibilities.
Yeah.
After all that time of being on it, that you just forgot what it felt like to not be on it. All right.
Yeah.
So that said, I would talk to your doctor and say, okay, when I went off it, here's what I felt like. And your doctor may say, let's give it a month. Let's find out. That may pass. You may find that feeling of, oh boy, I need that or else I start to feel really depressed or anxious or nervous or angry or whatever feeling it is that you think resurges in you will pass. Now, the other question. Do I not have enough faith that I don't need this medication? And the fact that I do need this medication, does this mean I don't have enough faith?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, sure. Not necessarily. First of all, as I said, there are certain depressions that are biochemically based. And that means something's wrong up there. Neurochemically, something is wrong up there. And the church would say medication is perfectly fine to get the body back into the place it was intended to be by God. Now, that's one. Mm-hmm. If, in fact, there's a lot going on with you regarding I need the meds, regarding I feel better on the meds, regarding I'm scared to go off the meds, all of that stuff, it doesn't mean your faith is weak. But what you could do is say, I want to do what I can so that I don't need these meds. And that may mean have some therapy. It may mean having your doctor slowly wean you off of them. It may mean let's see what happens if I stay off them for a month, like the doctor said. Get past this. Because very possibly what happened was, and here's what I see a lot of, Barb. People develop an awful lot of bad thinking habits. They look at life a certain way. They look at people a certain way. They look at themselves a certain way. And those things get entrenched. And that's the way they function. And until they realize that what they're doing to themselves is causing them to feel depressed or discontent or nervous or anxious or unhappy, until they realize that stuff keeps going. So that even when they say, yes, but I believe in God and I believe in Jesus and I go to church and I pray and I try to do all these things and I try to be a nice, good, religious person and I still feel this way. Well, that's right. Because you haven't really changed the way you're thinking. So that's something to consider there, my dear. Now, I don't want to recommend another book for you, but I have a book called Thinking Like Jesus. It's called The Psychology of a Faithful Disciple. Happens to be my wife's favorite book of the books I've written.
Thinking Like Jesus.
Thinking Like Jesus, The Psychology of a Faithful Disciple. And it could help you look at life, yourself, other people, a bit differently. And you can get it through EWTN, you can get it through your local Catholic bookstore, you can get it through my website. Look at life differently so that you say to yourself, you know what, I think I'm functioning better in my head, and therefore I may not need these meds that I've come to rely upon for 20 years. Who knows if they're even having any effect at all. Thank you, Barb. Okay. God bless you, dear.
Thank you very much.
All right, honey. Bye. When we come back, Sherry, remember that song by the, I know if Tom Price is listening, he knows, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Sherry, 1959? Of course, I don't remember that, but Teresa Tomeo does. I'm Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com. Fire on the Earth's Peter Herbeck.
Without the light that comes from Christ, we walk in darkness. And darkness is a way of describing this fallen world in which we don't know why we're here even. We can't touch meaning because we ultimately can't see God, and we can't be satisfied because we were made for God. We were made as this entire creation. The whole cosmos was made to the glory of God. It all exists to reveal the glory and the majesty, the beauty, the complexity, the creative love and power of God. And all of it gives praise to Him, except for fallen angels and rebellious human hearts. We're made literally to live for the glory of God, to worship Him, to give thanks to Him. That's what heaven is. It's not just a big prayer meeting, but it is the full celebration of free souls and creatures just overwhelmed by the majesty and beauty of God. And we're sharing in it. We're not just watching it like we do on a movie, that when it's over, it's over. We're in it. We're sharing in the life. And it's total and absolute fulfillment. We can't hardly even imagine what that's like. The best we can do in this world is to have some measure of distraction or something that makes me feel good temporarily. or temporary goals that we kind of have hope in. Those intermediate goals are good goals, but they don't solve the big problem. They don't produce genuine heart that brings peace to the soul and transformation.
Peter Herbeck spreads fire on the earth, weekday mornings at 6:30 and again at 11:45 on Ave Maria Radio.
Dr. Ray Guarendi here. Thanks for joining me. The doctor is in. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about Special K, and that is not the cereal. We are not talking Special K, the cereal. Sherry from New York is going to tell me what kind of Special K we're talking about. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Pleasure to talk with you, and I'm so happy you're coming to Buffalo. I've signed up. I'm going to meet you.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you.
You guys are the best audiences, that's for sure.
Yes, we are. We're good. Okay, what can you tell me if you know about this ketamine-assisted psychotherapy? If I'm saying that right, ketamine, Ketamine.
Yes, Special K, street name, Special K.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Now, you didn't get that. You wondered what I was talking about, huh?
Well, no, I kind of thought that you did when you said Special K, but I haven't heard that. You know, this is new to me. But do you think that being a psychedelic, see, that's what really jumped out at me, the people being led while they're with this medication or with this induced state, with this drug, do you think that they can be led? Yes, they're thinking about their past and different things. Could they kind of be led in a different direction of how things really were? Or I don't know. It's a very it's too long to get into over the phone.
Sure.
With you.
Well, at the very least, Sherry, at the very least, it is highly controversial. At the very least.
Yeah.
It's used predominantly for what they call treatment-resistant depression. You tried the drugs, maybe even tried ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, and you just not working. So supposedly, under doctor supervision, you use a nasal spray or something, you get this psychedelic drug into you, and it's supposed to be something that can get you more mindful about these things. The FDA has warned that ketamine and compounded ketamine are not approved to treat any psychiatric disorders, okay? So there is some indication, supposedly, and again, whenever you have this kind of outer limit type therapy, you got to question the placebo effect. In other words, placebo effect is very high in any kind of treatment, even medical.
Yes, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah. It works because you think it's going to work. So you take a psychedelic, you're obviously going to have some reaction, and who knows where your mind's going to go and how it's going to go and where it's going to go, and you're thinking, yes, I'm getting into it. Okay, I've got it. Yes, I'm different. I feel different. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you changed anything at all about the way you approach life, the way you think, the way you act. First of all, if I'm going to say this, hey, don't do it. Just don't do it. You know.
Well, unfortunately, someone close to me had.
Well, I knew that.
Of course you did. And
that's why you called in. You're not going to out of the blue go, hey, what do you think about ketamine psychedelic therapy?
Yeah, right.
What's been their reaction here, Sherry?
That he can no longer be in my life, and because of our differences, and it dropped the bomb just like we were out having a good time, and then all of a sudden, on the drive home, boom, it just blew. And then follow-up email blew up at me even then. It's my son and myself, and it just, we were very tight, very close, and it's been 1.5 years now. And ironically, now this is, well, I don't want to say ironically, but it happened on Spy Wednesday 1 year ago.
Sherry, would you you call me back, because I think there's some dynamics going on here that obviously you know that, and we can talk about this a little more, but I got about 20 seconds. So, or you can even raise this you can raise this question on a TV show.
I was thinking of that.
There you go, love. Hey, thank you, Sherry. I'll see you then. God bless you. This is Dr. Ray. Got to run. Thanks, Eric Dumont. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.